Hi Flosstube, my name is Sally and I am also known as Flossie Sews and Grows. Welcome to my Flosstube today on Friday the 10th of May, and this is Flosstube number 33, really starting to rack the numbers up now. Thank you for joining me, whether you're a new subscriber or a regular visitor. It's great to have you here and I hope you enjoy. If you don't already subscribe, it'd be great if you could just go and tick that little box or press that little box to say subscribe. Just gives me a little boost to know that people are enjoying what I'm talking about and what you're watching, and it would be great if you could do that. This is a channel predominantly about cross stitch, but sometimes I show other crafts and occasionally I talk about my allotment. Have actually been to the allotment today. It has been 2 weeks since I last checked in with you, so I have got a little bit of progress on my stitching, and obviously I'm doing 50 new starts this year in 2024 for with my lovely friend Sarah, who is at Sew Me Sarah, and we are doing 50 new starts to celebrate that we're both turning 50 this year, and so far so good. It's been an absolutely fantastic time. Really enjoying it, and so many of you are coming along and supporting us, stitching something with us, and I know that we're both loving it and having so much fun. But I haven't quite got as much done in the last 2 weeks. We had a weekend away last weekend. My daughter Felicity was off on a camp with Scouts, so she's an explorer. So in the UK with Scouts, at 14 they moved to a group called Explorers, and so they're the 14 to 17-year-olds, and this weekend they went off to kind of mid Wales, mid to the kind of top of South Wales, and on the English Welsh border actually. So they were canoeing or kayaking on the River Wye, and over 3 days they kayaked 32 miles. So it's the first time she'd kayaked in a river. She'd only so far done it in the pool, and it was a beautiful, absolutely glorious weekend. She came home with, you know, really red little nose, and you could see where her wetsuit, she'd had a shorty on, where her legs had been in the sun when she'd been in one of the Canadian canoes. She'd had an absolutely fantastic weekend, but that enabled me and my other half Simon to have a weekend away, and we went to near Stratford upon Avon and met up with some friends who were celebrating their wedding anniversary this weekend. So it was a little bit of an early celebration, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. It was really good. We on the Saturday, Simon and I went to see a Shakespeare play at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford. We went to see Love's Labour's Lost, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was really, yes, it's one of Shakespeare's comedies, and we really enjoyed it. There was the star of the show was Luke Thompson, who is one of the brothers out of Bridgerton, and he actually got down to his pants at one point. There was a lot of ladies in the front row who looked like they were straining to see him a bit closer in his pants, but it was very good. It was a really good production. It was set in modern day, but it's you know, they really yeah, just a fabulous performance that we really enjoyed. And we also got the chance to go to a lovely National Trust house on the Sunday, which was beautiful. And go and have a look at my Instagram. I've put a couple of pictures up there, or I might put some up here actually, so you can see them. But a beautiful house. And then it was quite interesting. One of the ladies who'd lived in this house actually had originated from near where we live, so she was Welsh, so there was a harp in the house, and then also she had built this summer house for her children and her grandchildren, and it had been thatched, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we just had some, and the weather was good for us as well, so just a really nice weekend away, and actually really a much needed weekend away, much needed break. But it did mean I didn't get quite as much stitching done as I would usually do, and actually I nearly had one non-stitchy day, but I got my stitching out. I stitched one stitch and said, that's it, I've stitched. It was that kind of day, But I've still got on. I've still got on, and I still wanted to talk to you. And as May is quite a long month, I thought I'd still come on after my usual 2 weeks. But actually, I'll probably try and pop on kind of next week or in kind of 10 days, because I had a really good response when I'd asked you last time if you would like to see how I've been kitting up. So I've been kitting up my 50 new starts. And so many people said, oh, I'd love to see how you've been doing it and what you've been doing. So I thought I'd probably come on in about a week or 10 days and film again, show you my progress, and just perhaps so there's another episode in May, as it's a 5-week month, so it's quite a long month, and just show you how I've do that. So saying that, I've still been relatively busy. I still have had a finish and an FFO. So if you can remember, I started this last time, and this is Friends Are the Flowers of Life, and it's by Lucy Beam, and it was in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. I think it was last summer, but actually she did release this at market this time just gone, so at Nashville, and I have stitched this on, it's a 32 count even weave, and it's from Tom and Lily Creates, and the colour, it was in last spring's pack, and it's called Bollywood, and it's gorgeous, it's beautiful to stitch on. So I finished it as a little wall hanging. So as you can see, I've put some tilde on the back, so I've made it as if I was making a cushion, but I've actually just added some little tabs to hang it off this little. Now I think I bought this at I think I bought it at a quilt shop that I used to go to when I lived in London, and I still had it, so I just thought it was absolutely perfect. And actually it was my friend's birthday on Monday, and I've not been able to see her, but I'm seeing her tomorrow, and I wanted to get it finished to give to her tomorrow. So really, really pleased with that. The only thing I actually just need to do is just go and, up until the last minute, I didn't know if I was going to finish it as a wall hanging or a cushion. Just need to go and close up. So I've made it as if it was a cushion. So I just need to go and close up the hole at the bottom there. But I'm really, really pleased with that. Super pleased with that. That was a really enjoyable stitch, and I think I'd stitched it in the called for DMC plus. The green was endive, and this is Cinders from Gentle Arts, which is definitely one of my favourite colours. I love that colour, so I'm super pleased that I've got a finish on that. So that was my fully finish, and I actually didn't have any other finishes. But I have got a start, surprise. I think this is start number, I think it's 23. So I'm almost halfway. And of course it is Blooming Tiny Town from Heart in Hand. And I started this, I was supposed to start it on Saturday last weekend. That was the kind of Saturday the 4th. And that was the one day that I didn't actually manage to stitch, because that was the day we went to the theatre and just travelled to Stratford, and it was just such a busy day. But I'm stitching this with my friend Nadine, who is at nads_xstitch on Instagram and on Flosstube, and this is where I have got so far. So this is the little house that is right in the middle. Now I am stitching this with a mix of the called for Classic Colourworks, and where I haven't got the Classic Colourworks colour, I was using the DMC. And so the roof I've stitched in hickory sticks, and then the house was in, I had DMC 640. I started stitching and it was such a similar colour to the hickory sticks. And this was when I was away, and I hadn't obviously got any other colours with me, and I just came to a complete standstill because I just thought, actually it's not quite looking right. So I've got home and I've just played around. Anyway, I've picked another little colour for the house, not overly showing up brilliantly, but I think once the windows are all in and it's got some flowers around it, it'll be okay. So I'm stitching this on 36 count country vintage mocha, and as I said, a bit of a mix of the called for DMCs and classic colour works. I think there are actually a couple of Weeks dye works in there as well. Sorry, I'm just swapping boards. I realised where my better board is. But I think as I go, I probably will be changing the colours. It's a lovely palette, don't get me wrong. It's a gorgeous palette of colours. Here we are, here are the colours. But I just feel that actually it's blooming tiny town. It should be bright, it should be jolly, it should be happy. That maybe they just need a little bit more, maybe to be a shade brighter. So actually, I think I might just, as I go, just pull from behind me and pull different colours. Just jazz it up a bit. I was going to stitch, so I've also stitched Honey of a Tiny Town, and I stitched that on 36 count country vintage mocha. And I have got a long strip of country vintage mocha to stitch all of the tiny towns on that I buy, but actually I probably won't stick to this because I think Frosty Tiny Town is on a grey, and I think the Seaside one is as well, and I love both of those and really would like to stitch both of those. So actually I probably will veer off the country vintage mocha for those ones and pick a grey colour, a grey or a blue for those, I think. So that was my one new start. I have got a few planned for May, so I know I've talked about them before, but I will just remind you when we come a bit further along what my plans are for the rest of May. Up next was the Itch to Stitch. Now I'm not sure if I took a photo of this where it was last time, but I think I'm stitching with gorgeous colours. But I think I told you last time that I had made a little bit of a mistake and that I'd started stitching this bobbin in one colour, and then I'd ended up picking up the colour I'd stitched this one, so the top of it is in that colour. Now I've completely gone off. I didn't have many of the called for colours, so I've substituted with some Roxy Floss, some other fancy ones I've got, and I've just actually kind of thought, I'm not entirely sure that I picked, the colours are all beautiful, but I'm not sure if I've picked quite the right ones for this. But I'm just going to get on and stitch it. I was thinking I would gift it at some point. It was quite a good size to do for a smalls exchange, but because I'm not happy with the colours, I think I might just stitch it for me and have it up in here, and then maybe do it again. And actually my friend Lindsay, who is the Cheshire Stitcher, she's filmed her latest floss tube this week, and she's stitching this, and she's not a massive pink fan, so actually she stitched it all in purples, and hers is looking really lovely. So I think probably not this year, because who would want to start two of the same thing when they're doing a 50 new start challenge? Not me. But I think that would be a really good one to do another time for a smalls exchange. I think that's a great smalls exchange. Even if I put it on the front of a project bag, I think that's a really great one. Right, up next, I've definitely got a picture of this where you saw it last. So this is the mandala chicken from Maloka Designs, and this was a freebie that she sent out on her newsletter. So I'm not sure if you can still get it if you sign up to the newsletter, but I should have by now put a little picture of where I was last time. I'm afraid I have got hanging thread here because I've travelled one across a little bit, and here we are. I feel like I have put quite a lot into this one, quite a lot of time, but it is a little bit bitty, and I have to admit I have been I'm going to show you the back because I have been carrying my threads, but actually I think I've still managed to keep it quite neat. I don't think it's looking too untidy, although I have carried threads from kind of one mini block of colour to another. But I think he's looking quite a grand chicken there. Quite proud, and definitely a colourful fellow. So enjoyable. More time consuming perhaps than some of the other things that I've stitched, but I do enjoy that. And just the colours, the bright beautiful colours that, there we go, beautiful colours. That's in one of my chicken project bag. But I quite wanted to get a finish on this, and yeah, it's just a bit of a slow one. So we'll see if I pick that up in the next. I tend to find that I probably in a 2-week period I stitch on about 7 or 8 things. So I normally will look at half of my whips and leave the other half, and then perhaps next time, the next 2 weeks, go and do those. So this one might get left for 2 weeks now. I don't know, see how I feel. I do very much, other than when I've got a new start and I've got it planned, I very much will just pick up, and Barbarana Wednesdays as well. I always try and get some Barbarana stitches in on a Wednesday. I don't always exclusively stitch Barbarana on a Wednesday. I will do other things as well. You know, actually this, this needed to get finished, so I've predominantly probably stitched on this in the last 2 weeks. That's been my one thing. But talking about Barbarana, oh, and that just, so the chicken mandala is stitched on a white 36 count linen, 1/2 as usual for me, and predominantly with the called for threads. There are a couple I had to substitute. So Barbarana. So I am stitching Garden of Dreams, and predominantly I stitch on this on Wednesday nights with my lovely friend Sally, who is at Stitchy Sally on here and on Instagram as well. And for this one we are also being joined by Debbie Ann 2018, who is making absolutely cracking progress with this, as is Sally actually. They have both stitched far more than me. I think the last time I spoke to you I'd only just got over a bit of a frogging issue, which I've rectified, and I will pop a little picture up of where I was at last time I did this, or rather the last time I showed it to you. And I'm stitching this on 32 count even weave, and it was a fabric of the month from Fabrics by Crafty Kate last year. So I have stitched the little cat, started to stitch this, stitched some odd little bits. I found a mistake there, so I've done a little bit of frogging, and I've stitched a few of the bits down in here, and I think just a little bit here. So not a huge amount. I stitched on this on Wednesday night, but then earlier in the day I had been stitching Friends of the Flowers of Life, and I think it was Wednesday that I finished it actually. So that had taken up most of my day, or most of my stitchy time that day. I don't get a huge amount of time to stitch on a Wednesday because I have a pretty full day of work. It's one of my longer days, but progress is progress, and because I'm stitching this on the green, I won't need to stitch that green background. Can you see? It's quite sunny here, and I have got the curtain open. I felt it'd be too dark if not, but it's a bit of glare. So I'm not stitching the green background. So I know Sally has started on that green background, and I'm hoping that because she's got that to stitch, I'll be able to catch up with her a little bit. But yeah, she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. I love stitching a Barbarana Dreaming Girl. I really do. And the colours for that are just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, bright, summery colours. And this is one actually I keep in. I always keep my Barbaranas in my Eat Sleep Stitch Repeat bag that I won from Nicola at Bumble Stitches when she did a big giveaway. So I absolutely love that bag. One of my favourite bags. All my bags are favourites actually, I love them all. This is my final whip already. We're only 20 minutes in. Good grief. Good grief. So the final whip is Spring Quaker by Lila Studio. And I can't remember if I've got a photo of this or not to show you where I was last time. But if I have, I will pop one up. Now I'm stitching this with my friend who has just... So Alex, who has just changed her name on Instagram. I think she was getting a bit of a teasing from the Hathaway Stitchers that she does all the start-alongs. So she has changed her name to @Salix, so SALEX_stitches. So I think that's in her SAL start-along Alex. So doing this with Alex, and this was to celebrate her birthday last month, but we're also being joined by Caroline, who from Caroline's Stitch Corner, my lovely friend Ruth, who is @countrygal854 on Instagram, and also Marianne is joining us. Hi Marianne, I hope you're watching today. And also Jen's Fibre Web is joining in too, and we have actually now got a little chat group on Instagram, which is really, really lovely to chat and show each other our progress, which has been really, really nice. So this is where I am so far. So I feel I've made, I think since the last time you saw this, I've definitely started on this checkerboard down here, and perhaps the trees maybe, can't quite remember. So I'm stitching this on a Fabrics by Crafty Kate, and it's 36 count Blutiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And actually I did do a Stitchy Zoom that Caroline hosted a couple of weeks ago, and Caroline was stitching this checkerboard, and I think once I'd seen her do that, I then went and had a go at doing some of that. And I have actually got a stitchy day tomorrow, so it is Cheshire Stitchers meetup tomorrow, which I'm excited about. My friend Elaine is coming over, and I think because the weather's nice, she's going to give me a lift in her car, because she can put the top down on it, so that'll be exciting. And hopefully we'll see some other of our friends there as well. So next time I speak to you, I'll catch you up on that. So I think I might take this with me tomorrow, because then I can try and fill in some of that checkerboard. That's quite easy to do while you're chatting, and I don't have to look at the chart for that. So that would be quite good. So that's all my whips. I told you there wasn't much, although the ones that I have worked on, well, I've got fully finished off checked, so I'm quite pleased with that. But yes, it has been a slower couple of weeks, and yeah, I think now that the sun is out. So this morning, Simon and I went to the allotment, and it was the first time that we'd been, and actually we got a bit of a scare because Felicity went to Explorers on Wednesday, and they were given a game to do. They had to go around our village, and they had to do an A to Z. So they had to find something that began with every letter of the alphabet and take a photograph of it, and then once they'd done the alphabet, come back to the scout hut and see who'd won. So their A was allotment, and they went and took a photograph of our allotment. I was like, oh, can I have a look at it? And she was like, yeah, it's a bit untidy, Mum. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it really was. So we've been this morning. Simon, it's Friday. I do a little bit of work on a Friday, but I'm very much dipping in and out just to make sure everything's ticking along that needs to be. But Simon actually booked himself off today because we knew it was going to be a nice day. So we've managed to do a whole load of weeding, and then I've just had a little bit of time at home doing a little bit of work and prepping for this, and he's been and got soil, and then come home and I've helped him. We can drive the car up to where the allotment is and unload. So we've both been and unloaded a lot of soil so that we can on Sunday hopefully and we've got lots of things in the greenhouse and in the back garden. Broad beans, peas, We've got lots of tomatoes, so things that really, and potatoes. We haven't planted our potatoes yet, so lots of things that need to go in the plot. So I'm hoping, I've taken a before photo, and hopefully on Sunday I'll be able to take an after photo, and I will show you those on my next floss tube, so you can see the progress we've made over a weekend. So what else have we got? So, oh, I have had some haul. So I think the last time I spoke to you, I was talking to you about wanting to do the Vivsters rainbow Quaker, because I had been gifted these gorgeous CXC threads by Amanda, who is at needle_and_thread_Amanda. And I went and bought, I told you I was going to, I went and bought some white linen 36 count that I can stitch, and it just, oh, I can't wait to start this. So I've put them on floss drops so you can see them a bit better. Oh, and the colours are just beautiful. So these are CXC threads, and I've never stitched with them before. You can get them in the UK from Rachel, who is at Talking Dog Stitcher. So I'm really looking forward to trying them on this. Now, I know a lot of people use these when they're stitching full coverage because they're quite a lot cheaper than DMC. I'm not a full coverage stitcher, so I've never really had that kind of need to think I need to, you know, I'm kitting up something and I need 10 skeins of something. I've never had that. So so this will be the first time I've used them, and they feel so soft and beautiful actually. So I'm really looking forward to trying them. I was going to start it in May. I may still start it in May, but I've got my plans. I've got so I'm starting Mildred Strawberry on the 20th of May with Sarah. That's one of the joint things we're doing. That is a Blackbird chart from the In Friendship's Way booklet. I'm also starting on the 27th of May with Thy Hands from Teresa Kogert, with my friend Natalie, who is at sew_stitch_sew. And then on Thursday, I'm actually going to be starting the Dreaming of Summer SAL from Love Poppet. Now, Claire at Love Poppet has kindly gifted me the kit, so the threads and the fabric, and the PDF will be sent out. I think it's 5 parts. I will put the details of the dates that's released below, and the website for Love Poppet. But it starts on the 16th of May, so there is still time to order and get the kit if you want that, but you can also buy the PDF. I'll pop a little picture of the sneak peek, but hopefully when I speak to you next I will have been able to start, because I'm going to hopefully speak to you after the 16th of May next. But I know that Sarah was talking about, or she was saying to people, have a look, what's your favourite Love Poppet design? Go and have a look at the website. And actually there are some beautiful PDFs over on the website, and I went and had a look, and my favourite are definitely Going Coastal, which is this one. I have a seaside themed bathroom, and I think this is going to be one that I'm going to stitch to have in my bathroom. And I also loved the Blue Tit and Blossom. I think my mum would really like this, so that's something that I really want to stitch as well. So Love Poppet, the Dreaming of Summer SAL starts on the 16th of May, so still time to join that, either by getting the kit from Love Poppet or the PDF from their website. So order now if you'd like to join me. And I know I'm being joined by my friend Charlie Feathers, is also stitching that as well. So we'll be doing that together, which is really lovely. What else? Well, one thing I didn't show you. I think I had so much stitching on the last episode that I didn't really talk about everything that I wanted to talk about. And suddenly I thought I kind of finished, and I'd edited and I put it up, and I thought I didn't show you a stitch by Mum. And I had one. I had this one ready and waiting, and I think this is actually one of the oldest stitches by my mum that I've got, and it's this box. Isn't that beautiful? So I think she stitched this on a 32 count even weave, and there's obviously speciality stitches in there. Let's just try and make sure that's clear. Speciality stitches in there, some hard anger, and you can see this is been quite a well loved box. I definitely, I mean, you can see at the front how faded. If I open it, if I move that, you can see how faded it is. I definitely had this as a teenager at school, because if I open it, some of the jewellery that I had when I was at school is in here. So some, you know, big, I don't wear earrings like this anymore, big earrings, but also I was a brownie, so my kind of brownie badges are in here as well. And a good old friendship bracelet. That's what I did with my mum's DMC when I was a youngster. So I've still got it, and still, I think my dad went to Canada, or I know my great auntie went to Canada when I was 16 or 17, so I think that's a Canadian maple leaf. So yeah, I know that this is, oh yeah, those earrings as well, the little fish on. You don't need to see my really old jewellery, but I know that this is something I've had for a long time, that Mum stitched for me, and it's now living out. I think I found it in a drawer, and I thought, oh, that's shameful that I've not got it on display. So it is now on display in my house. So that was a stitch by Mum. And then Floss Tubers I've been watching. I haven't really talked about the Floss Tubers that I've been watching for a while. And I have really come across a few new ones. I'm so sorry, I'm going to have a sip of tea because I'm just getting a slight dry mouth. Cold tea, I hasten to add. And so I've actually come across a few new Floss Tubers, and part of this is that Caroline from Caroline's Stitch Corner had been doing some Zooms, and Caroline's really friendly with my friend Alex, and Alex said to me, why don't you come along to a Zoom with us and some of our friends and people who we've, you know, kind of have joined in. I was like, oh, that'd be great. And they'd started doing them on Friday nights, and unfortunately go to choir on a Friday night, and it was just at the time when we were at choir, or it was just as we were coming home, and I just didn't manage the timing. But they'd switched to a Saturday night, and I was able to join, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. And oh, it was really lovely, really lovely. So Caroline was there, and of course Alex, and my friend Ruth was there, and I've done a few Zooms with Stitch Across the Pond when Ruth's been there, which is really lovely, but there's a lot more people at Stitch Across the Pond, so you don't always get to say hi or kind of chat or ask your friend questions. So it was quite nice to be in a smaller group where you could, but there were a couple of people that I'd not met before, or who I didn't know who they were on the Zoom call, but then kind of the penny dropped at kind of a later stage. I was like, oh, I know who that is now. So the first one was Alison, who is Alison at the moment, and Alison is part of Cross Stitch the Globe with her sister Stephanie, and so saw her on this Zoom, and it was quite interesting. She was sat outside, and you could see the trees moving in the background, and the next thing her phone pinged, and there'd been a tornado watch, and she was like, oh, I think I better go because it's the wind's really starting to get up, and we've just had a warning. But it was lovely to see Alison on the Zoom, and I had actually watched Alison and Steph doing the eBay, the YouTube floss tube that they'd done when they talked about eBay and how much patterns, really rare out of print patterns, could go for, and how expensive they could get. And Stephanie had done all the research for this, and then they presented it, and it was fascinating, and I'd really enjoyed watching that. But then I hadn't kind of gone and watched any of their other episodes, but I've now caught up on a few, and Alison certainly stitches lots of Tiny Modernist and Satsuma Street, so kind of things that I've done quite a few Tiny Modernist in the past, and I love the Satsuma Street chickens. So it's really a few similar but a few different tastes to mine. So really interesting to catch up with them and see what they were stitching, and really good floss tube. And then the other lady that I met, Didn't see her until quite near the end, was Fanny. She kind of joined in with the Zoom. She listened to us, but wasn't able to get on camera until quite near the end. And it was interesting because I couldn't figure out where Fanny was from. When I could only hear her voice and I couldn't see her, I presumed she was American. And actually then she came on to camera near the end of when I had to unfortunately leave, kind of not maybe 10-15 minutes after she joined us on camera. And I asked where Fanny was from. She said, I'm French. I'm from France. I was like, goodness, I couldn't quite believe it. But Fanny is actually, I didn't write down her, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, which are just under you. I think she's Cross Stitch Couture on Instagram. I'll pop that across just to double check so you can see it. But she is part of the Soul Stitchers on Flosstube with Marion, who is at Marion_Fay_de_Petit_Roy. I'm going to write that as well because my French accent is not good. We might only be just across the channel from them, but my French isn't very good at all, which is shameful because Franny and Marion, their English is absolutely perfect, although they do occasionally have little giggling moments where perhaps they can't remember the English word, yeah, it's quite funny. But they've done 2 floss tubes now, and they are absolutely beautiful stitchers, and just the things that they've been showing. And actually there's quite a few patterns and charts in there that I'd not seen before, French designers, and there was one in particular that Marion showed, I think, with puffins on it, that I absolutely loved. So it's just really interesting to see, even though, you know, actually France is closer to us than America, I think probably in the UK we get a lot of the American patterns come over, and perhaps not so many of the European ones, maybe. I don't know if that's fair to say. Maybe it's just I've not hunted them out. But there's some beautiful things that they both have shown on their floss tube, and they are definitely two to go and watch. Really enjoyable. So I think I am going to call it a day there. We're not quite at 40 minutes. It's getting close to coming home from school time. We've got a busy evening. We've got choir, and then we're going to some friends tonight after choir for a catch up and for some drinks. And then obviously I've got Cheshire Stitchers tomorrow, going to the theatre tomorrow night, and then it'll be back in the allotment on Sunday to get some of our plants in that we are now have cleared the weeds to get the planting done. So thank you so much for joining me. As ever, it's always lovely to talk to you and show off my stitching, which I'm so proud of, and love that I can share that with you. Have a great week, 10 days until I next see you again, and happy stitching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.